Welcome, Franchise Mutiny. I'm Isaac. Joining me in today's discussion for the second time, Eric and Michael. How are you two? Eric, Michael, and Emma.
Michael's dad.
Yeah, he's still my dad.
Eric, aka Michael's dad, Michael, and Emma.
Better.
What are we talking about?
Well, there was...
Is this the fastest we've actually gotten to talking about the movie?
Do you want to do the synopsis? Yeah, it is, by the way.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
This is record time. You want to jump in? Do you have the synopsis for this, ready to go?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay. Do you want to try this one?
How about have your dad do it?
We got a spaceman named Brent shows up on a planet. Turns out the planet has a city on it full of apes. He doesn't know it's the planet of the apes yet, but he finds this city and he finds this chick who can't talk. They go around trying to find this boy named Taylor who crashed on the planet in the previous movie. And, he's trapped in the ape planet, and they're just adventuring around the ape planet. It doesn't matter if it's 15 seconds or not. The audience don't care.
Fuck the format, bro. He's going a cappella.
That's okay.
And,
Pretty big spike.
he finds the planet of the apes, and he realizes that it's Earth. And I'm sorry I'm spoiling it, but the movie's 40 years old, so...
Yeah, 1970.
Well, the Earth gets destroyed. You summarized the plot to the first movie, basically.
It's the same movie. The only difference is the Earth gets destroyed at the end of
Right,
this
so
one.
you gotta mention that. That's a key...
There's also these weird telepathic boyos that just, they nod. They just go like...
Yeah.
And then they do you in. There's nothing that you can do about it.
Yeah, they telepathically fuck your head.
There's a dude with some eyes.
There's some dude with some eyes, man.
Some eyes.
Some real
Two.
not well.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you, adding that lore into this franchise? Does that fit in with the Planet of the Apes? Or is it just we threw in another sci-fi movie into this one? Because this seems very different.
It seems like they took Planet of the Apes and mixed it with Metropolis. It's just this underground city of goons that just do weird shit. And they're upset about the above ground oppressors. It's pretty much just Metropolis but with monkeys.
Yeah.
I guess apes, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to miscategorize. Monkeys have tails, apes don't.
He's right, He's not fucking wrong. Yeah, I actually like this. I like this movie. I don't think it's a great movie. I think the story's a bit whack, and I think it's clearly got some budget issues. I think this budget was severely cut, and I forgot why. I remember seeing a behind the scenes about how this movie got made, and I remember Charlton Heston was supposed to have the lead role again, but there was a scheduling conflict, so they had to cut his role down. So as a result, they brought in Brent. And they just used the same ship that was used in the first movie for him as a second ship.
Charlton Heston in this looks very different than the first one. He seems very disheveled or something.
Ugly.
He
looks awful.
He seems like he's been drinking.
It looks like over 40 years have passed since the first movie, even though it was only 2.
His teeth look awful. His chin is just
constantly.
His
grinning.
nose is sticking out. It's just
his hair's all over.
He's just not a pretty looking dude in this movie.
He has been on the Planet of the Apes for a good while though, so that could do that to a person.
Okay.
Has it been a while? How long?
It wasn't. The movie.
This could be the same day.
This movie picks up literally right after the first one. It's right after the events of the first one. They're still on the beat. I mean, they even recap the damn you all to hell. The first 5 minutes of the movie is a recap of the last one, and then I don't know, it got weird. They went below the ground. I like it though because it shows more of a reason why there are apes hanging out.
I like that it's not just a complete retread. There's a bit of a retread going on with we have an astronaut realizing that it's full of apes and they're talking, and he learns the way of whatever that humans can't talk and stuff. But then as soon as they go beneath the Planet of the Apes,
it takes them a while to get under there. It takes
does.
them about an hour to get under beneath the planet.
Actually, before that, even with the Forbidden Zone was new to this, I think, with all the illusion of flames and stuff, which was very...
No, the Forbidden Zone's a real... they just expanded on the weird, I don't even think that's true. I think there was, hints that there were weird things going on in the first one, but they didn't have like they didn't have a plan for it.
Yeah. Do you think? Yeah, they didn't have any. They're just like, let's leave that for in case there's another one. Do you think they were thinking ahead? Like,
no.
Of course, just like
I'm cheating because I already know the story, but they were not thinking ahead. They were basically like, all right, here's one movie, we're basing it off the novel, but we're gonna do severe budget cuts because in the novel there's like they're like a real society, like they have helicopters and all sorts of crazy shit, and they were like, no, we got to cut this down. We can make it more earthy. And I actually don't like that because the whole time I watched this movie, I'm like, why the fuck haven't they developed some kind of technology? It's been like 2,000 years.
That's the first thing I thought the first time I saw the first one. It's the first 4 times in a row. But it was why'd the apes just like kill all the people when they have like spears and shit and nothing else?
Mm-hmm. And this old school franchise takes no, like, when you watch Conquest or any of those, like, it does not help answer the question because you don't really get a clear-cut answer. You just see, like, apes beating the shit out of people and you're like, oh, so I assume this happened globally.
Well, yeah, and they go back in time, right? So it's technically a different alternate timeline.
Yeah.
So we don't know if that's exactly how it went. We just know that we blew ourselves up, and then the apes are like, "Hey, our time to shine. Let's start talking."
Boy, do they shine as long as you don't give them a close up or ask them to talk. Because those masks, man, it fucked up a lot of the dialogue.
Very inconsistent. Some of them were done pretty well, and then just background characters looked like they just popped it on in the last second. They're like, "Oh shit," because their eyes were like so farther deep and
they're very sunk,
very distant.
Yeah, it was gross looking. I don't know.
The main ape general had a pretty good hat.
He had a thumb hat.
He looked like he had a helmet that already had like a head in it, and he just added that on top of him. And he still doesn't know. He just thinks that's part of the hat.
He's a tactician, though. He must have a really big brain, and that hat's just to, like, protect the brain.
He's like one of those Mayan skulls. He took, like, the skull of a baby ape and was just, like, putting it in his fucking thing and, like, extending his own head. Thought it'd make him smarter or something.
I mean, it worked. You see how many people he killed? He took out the entire gang.
He really did, up until the last Charlton Heston shot him in the face or whatever.
Yeah.
Or was that Brent?
Brent?
No, Brent got lit up.
Brent got lit up by a firing squad, dude. He got Scarfaced so hard at the end of that.
Didn't Hat Guy...
Brent shot Hat Guy.
Yeah.
Oh, Brent shot Hat Guy?
Because Hat Guy shot Heston.
Yeah.
Oh.
Taylor.
Oh, right.
Taylor.
Yeah, you're right.
Thank you, Emma.
My bad.
Backing me up.
Thank you. I didn't know you're saying. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I can't remember, dude. That last scene was pretty chaotic.
Yeah, they rushed. That ending is god-awfully rushed. I mean, it's just like, all right, here we are. We wait till, like, the dead end of this movie to explain all the lore. Like, we save it for the last 15 minutes, and you expect to get it all out in 15 minutes. It's like, no, there's clearly a lot more you have to explain. Like, what the fuck are the crystals? Where did those come from? You know, how are you...
Why are these people activating a nuclear bomb with 3, like, crystals that they push down?
Yeah, it's like, why are they worshipping the thing that destroyed them in the first place or whatever?
It's all metaphor, allegory.
I do like that, though, because the apes are, like, represent the science to the world, and whereas the underground people kind of represent the religion. And I do like that they play that and they use the clash of like science, because that's really what the theme of this whole like Planet of the Apes is about. It's that questioning of religion and science and like which one is more valuable when, you know, you're trying to reset society and you know, would all living creatures like struggle with that issue and balancing those things. I mean, it's really cool. But
yeah, the original one had a lot of social commentary and a lot of relevance in that. This one still has that, and it brings in the bomb and stuff, but it's not as, I don't know. It's in that way, it's sort of retreading. But
it's more. I think that this one's more chaotic. It's like you say. I think this one is a lot more. It has a lot of different ideas, and it doesn't give itself enough time to connect them. And as a result, you get all these weird and it's kind of a quiet movie for the most part. That's the other thing I don't like about it is for the most part a very quiet movie, and it's like okay.
There's a lot of wild edited segments that just like have a lot of quick cutting and like random bullshit flashing up on the screen, and I don't know. I think they were trying to do a Forbidden Zone thing, but they do a whole lot of showing stuff in this movie that they don't explain, and so you just see a lot of stuff and you're like, I don't know what just happened, but it's over now, and I have a feeling they're not going to mention it again. So
I want to know if the guy who shot this, the director of photography, was like big on westerns, because he kept doing those fucking.
The cinematography was the best part about this movie.
It was ridiculous.
So fucking funny.
It was ridiculous. It made me sick to my stomach every time I was going in. Here we go again. You know, it's like,
dude, that last time he did it, I did not expect him to go in again. He was like one back closer yet, and it's like. From like chin to the top of his head,
right.
And they go back. I'm like, oh, they're done. And then they go back one more time, and it's right on his eyes.
I probably laughed the hardest. I think that was the part that made me laugh the hardest. That and just the overabundance of domestic abuse towards women in this. Like that was just like
it's just fucking ridiculous.
Dude, women got the shit beat out of them in this movie.
Nothing suspicious here. I just hit my wife.
Yeah, it was just like they
play that joke like 4 times in the course of 5 minutes, and they just keep pulling it up over and over again.
I beat my wife, Dr. J. Is that cool? And he's like, oh yeah, that's fine. You beat your wife, dude.
I would have too. I'm not married to her.
I would have beat the shit out of this fucking.
She's not my property.
Yeah, she's not my property, but rest assured, I would have hit her if she were. I promise. Yeah, like women just get the shit beat out of them, and that's fine because honestly, I like the balance of.
That's fine.
I like that balance of. I think everyone gets the shit beat out of them properly in this, and just to make sure if you didn't, the whole world explodes. Yeah. Just so we covered all our bases, and I do like that. This movie's kind of violent in that way. I think the first one's kind of violent too. It's not as much though, because they don't have this crazy ass shootout at the end.
Well, there was more focus on exploring, kind of figuring out what the rules are and what's really going on. This one we already know, so
we only know half of it. We don't know all of it.
Yeah, Lion King 1.5. We only know the half of it.
Don't use that to help explain this.
Yeah, Lion King 1.5.
No, dude.
No, this movie's a lot like Lion King 1.5.
Yeah, I just see the parallels here.
Who's Timon? Who's Pumbaa?
I think it's obvious who
Dr. Zaius is Pumbaa. No, Pumbaa's the dude with the wide eyes that that man.
That guy was a mess, dude. He brought so much to the table.
Everyone else had just like this subtle, like little dignified nod. He was like, I'm a spaceman, whoa, and then he'd just nod with his whole head.
He put way too much effort into the nodding and into the staring. I mean, the eyes got bulgy as fuck, man. Like, it was worrying me.
There was a segment where they kept cutting between each individual member of the council, and every time it cut to him, you could tell so clearly that it was him, because everyone else just looks very they got very mellow looks on, where they just got half closed eyes kind of staring at him, and you just cuts to him, and half the frame is filled with the whites of his eyes, and you're just like, what happened?
It goes by fast, yeah. You stare right at his eyes, when they cut. You're like, "Wow, that's a lot of whites." You do it every time,
though. You're like, "This is rough. I'm kind of not wanting to look at this man anymore." But then they keep bringing you back.
They keep bringing you back, man. That's the worst part of this movie is just how much it tries to bring you back. It's like, I've been here before. Just move on.
I love that they do the thing where you can't hear what one side's saying, but the person's perfectly reciting it back. Like, no, I didn't do this. Yes, of course, she's okay. Well, you better let me go.
Do you have more of those? It sounds like you have those. You have those prepared.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on?
As soon as you acknowledge it, I run.
That literally looks like an excuse I would use if I like lost the audio for the track and couldn't get the people in to do ADR, so it would just be like, oh, I don't have the audio of them talking to him, so I just have like, yes, of course they're okay. Ding!
Yeah. I don't know. They really should have ADR'd over those masks, dude, because that was rough. That was rough.
Especially the helmet one.
The helmet guy was very expressive. The actor himself was very expressive, but and I remember, again, I'm cheating because I saw the behind the scenes stuff, but I remember they bitched so much about the masks in every interview. They're like, this was the hardest thing to act through because it's such a puffy and like disgusting thing on your face.
It's like desert.
Yeah, and you're having to move, like, be very expressive, and you have to, like, almost shift your jaw side to side rather than talking like normal just to show that they're talking.
So that's actually what they were doing?
Yeah, well, and then you can see it, especially
honestly, when I watched them do it, I thought it was, like, a puppet, and they were using just, like, something to control, like, the bottom half of the jaw, because I'm like, it's completely out of sync, so I just imagine that's what it was, but, I mean, if they did it the other way, that probably also makes sense for why it looks awful.
They actually tried to do something like that where the mouths were automated, and that did not work. It didn't move fast enough, and I guess they just didn't have the budget for it.
So I'm guessing they didn't plan a third one at this point, and they're like, we're gonna blow up the whole world, because they fix it in 3. They give an explanation, but there's no clue to they hopped in a capsule or whatever. I forget how they travel back in time, but
I forgot how they do that too. Actually,
I just remember that they crash into the sea, and then they find them.
Yeah,
that movie's more of like a satire. I don't know. It's a little on the nose, but
which one, Battle or
Escape?
Escape.
Where they're in the 60s and everyone's fascinated with them.
Oh right, okay. I gotta rewatch
they become
these, man.
Celebrities or something.
I think the last time I watched all these movies was in high school. That's when I got the bust. I got the Caesar bust on eBay for like $30. It's usually like $500, and it has all of the old movies. It has the cartoon show. It has the other TV show that was on ABC, and then it also has Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes, which is okay.
You don't like the beautiful gorilla love scenes in that movie?
I don't like the ending. I think the ending's fucking stupid as shit. I mean, seeing that Abe Lincoln just pissed me off so much. It's like, really?
That was pretty fun.
That was a bad twist.
Did you go see any of the recent Planet of the Apes movies with the bust? Just in the theater, just holding it and being like, this?
I wish I had. The first when I first saw Planet, I saw the one with James Franco with my girlfriend at the time, and that was pretty cool. And then my buddy and I saw the one after that, and we both liked it, but everyone around us was like, that wasn't that good of a movie. Like, it was it was a beautiful looking movie, but it wasn't it wasn't a good story, and the characters were very dry. I haven't seen the third one yet, but I've heard it's pretty good.
I have seen the second. I thought I'd only saw the first one. I totally remember I did see the second one in the new trilogy. I don't remember much. All I just remember is Gary Oldman's like really shitty acting at the end. And he just like starts screaming out of nowhere, and he's like acting like a crazy person for no reason.
Yeah, he only had, I think, one good scene in that movie, and it's the part where he gets the iPad working and he's able to like see his family and he starts crying. I think that's the only scene in the entire movie where you see some real depth from it. Why are we talking about this? We're talking about Beneath the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
We're talking about Woody Harrelson or some shit.
Woody Harrelson?
Because he's in the third one.
He's in the third one.
Yeah. It was just a bad joke. Don't worry about it. What was some stuff we noticed? And I feel like we had more to talk about with this movie. I feel like we were saying a lot of stuff during it.
This is a very different episode than the last episode. We are very tired.
Yeah,
I feel like this is very mellow. We're finally getting to the fun.
Yeah, this is more of your. This is more your style, right? This is the
I'm
nothing crazy. None of this weird barbecuing your son shit. You know, none of this eating candy for the first time in 15 years nonsense. And
that hasn't happened yet.
And certainly none of my shenanigans is seeping through. So as a result, it's more streamlined now. We're getting into the real issues here, such as well, I don't know. I feel like
I was just impressed by how fucking wild this movie was. Like, I didn't expect it because I hadn't seen it in so long, and I also haven't seen the first one in a long time, and I just didn't really like see all the like crazy fast editing and the quick zooms and all that shit.
I never
like,
noticed that.
There's tons of moments in this movie where I'm just like, what am I watching? Like, I thought this was like, like, I know not this one, but like the first one's regarded as like a cinematic classic, and this is like insane.
Yeah, this one's I think the most surreal.
It's like seems like it was made by a bunch of crazy people.
It's definitely, and they don't do a very good job fine tuning it. They just it seems so rushed at the end, which is weird because the first half feels incredibly slow.
Yeah, because they go on their quest and then they get captured and then they go on their quest and then
which seems all so redundant.
It's a weird trip
it's
that
like
they have
too
to go
redundant for what like they could easily, and I think that's just because they couldn't get Heston for the full film. Because I honestly think it was supposed to be they pick up right after the events of the first one, and then they're like cruising through the canyon, and then that's where like the story starts of like exploring underneath, and then like they spend more time down there, I think, and then there'd be like a war or whatever at the end is the third act, like they did, but just probably better, more developed.
Yeah, no, I don't think having a full another movie with Charlton Heston would have been better. I think they did the right thing of just like, oh, he's been here, he's kind of here in the beginning, and at the end, let's not show him too much.
I thought the dude who played Brent was more fun to watch anyway than Charlton Heston is.
I like Brent.
Because even though like the guy who played Brent was like, it seemed like he was trying really hard, but it also seemed like he was trying way too hard, and there were a lot of moments where it was funny, but there were also moments where like his hamminess was still more entertaining than Charlton Heston's ridiculous like overacting.
Yeah, I don't know. I liked in the first movie he was good, but in this one you could like he seemed uglier, as I said before, and he just his lines were just the weakest shit. Like they weren't very like I don't know. He didn't seem that like anything. He was just there to die. Yeah, he was really just there to die.
He was very determined, and he had a set like goal in the first one, or he reacted so strongly to everything in the first one. This one he's kind of like, oh, I'm in prison now. Doesn't
the prison care. Being the second Planet of the Apes movie that he has to participate in now that he probably didn't want to.
He didn't want to. Yeah, I don't think he wanted to at all, and they barely got him in for what they did. But I think they were hoping to get him in for the sequel, like as the main guy, but.
He's not like overestimating how little Charlton Heston is in this movie, by the way. He like disappears actually like 3 minutes into the movie, and they don't even give a good explanation as to why he disappears. He just walks up to a rock wall and then just fades into nothingness.
Which is funny because the wall isn't even there when they cut to like pull it. They do a wider shot of like, so they have the girl in frame and there's nothing there. It's like, well, wait, so there was no mountain there and now there was, and then there is. I don't know, just like stuff like that. Like you can tell, like some of the shots don't line up with like the right locations.
At the beginning when they show that like extreme wide of the spaceship, and then they pull in close to the guy getting out of the spaceship, and then they pull back, and there's a guy laying on like this blow up blanket outside the spaceship. Yeah. And you're like, where was that guy 5 seconds ago?
And then the other one was when Brent and the mute girl are like trying to get close to the city of apes, and they're like scouting it out, and they're clearly, I don't know how they even did this, but they're super far away, and they're like looking as if they can see it close up,
like right there.
Yeah, and then they move in more, and then it's like the same distance. Like, wait a minute. And they can like hear them and everything.
Miles away from them, and they can hear every word they're saying. Yeah, perfectly. Like they can probably understand what the general is saying better than we can because you can't hear him through the mask. It's a real trip. Every time they cut back to Brent's face, he looks even more shocked than the last.
Yeah, Brent. Brent's a fucking character in this, dude. He's just the worst. He's just I don't know, dude. I think he's like there's an alpha side to him that isn't the same kind of Charlton Heston in the alpha where it's like he doesn't really need to do too much, but it's like it seems like he's even a smaller guy. Like he's like a shorter dude. So I feel like there's a lot more like overcompensation in his deliveries and like how he reacts to things and just the level of I don't know, effort that goes into his role. Because he must know he's just playing a different version of another character.
I feel like they'd probably come into the movie understanding that, though, that they're just, like, there to play, like, the wacky human character. Because it's like if you were going to sign up for a movie like Airplane, and you're just like, wait, I'm not taking this role seriously, right? Like... Unless that's the purpose of my character is to be the one serious character in the role of like lunatics, but it's like I think at that point the movie was like kind of known, or the franchise was kind of known for being kind of like campy and weird.
Oh yeah.
So that they just like he wasn't going to be given like a Charles Foster Kane instead of like the Charlton Heston.
Yeah, I agree, and you can see that in especially again like how they talk about the production of the movies. Is that nobody's taking it seriously. They're like, oh man, we know this looks like shit. We know this is all like super fake looking. But we're making this movie anyway because it's somehow making a decent amount of money at the box office. It wasn't even making like a shit ton of money. It was just like barely breaking even. They're like, all right, let's do another
there's
one.
Like a lot of moments like that just look absolutely like this is a movie set. Like you pointed it out when they were down in the New York subway. You can literally see the seam between the prop and the matte painting in the background. And it's like super defined.
Yeah.
Like, you can tell you can very easily see the seam between the mountains and the fire right at the beginning when they first enter the Forbidden Zone.
I like seeing the seams between the mask of the ape and like the human neck. You see that happen a couple times on multiple characters, and I'm like, oh right, they have a neck.
I don't know. I find all that
they didn't cast a bunch of monkeys.
These aren't real monkeys. Wait a minute.
They didn't teach them how to talk.
Teach them how to talk.
No, I find most of that stuff kind of endearing of the time. I don't know if a movie right now doesn't look great for some reason, I'm like they're lazy, whatever. But if it's from like 1970, I'm like, oh, that's adorable. That's great. I like this. This is fun. But for some reason, bad CGI, I'm like, fuck me. Maybe it's like a practical versus CGI thing.
So do you think this looks better or worse than like the worst CGI movie here, like that's out maybe now?
I would prefer this. Okay. I don't know.
And that's just because maybe the novelty of it or whatever.
A little bit of the novelty. Maybe if you're like a aspiring filmmaker, like that's easier to recreate than like I'm gonna do visual effects. I'm gonna do computer generated effects like that movie. Or just like I could build something. I can make a tangible object that. Like, I think that's more inspiring. I'm
of the same mind about that because I do, and that's, I talk about Ray Harryhauser a lot with, because I'm a huge fan of stop motion, and I've always been a fan of stop motion and just how, like, the art form evolved over time, and then it got super replaced as soon as the 90s rolled around. Like, they were going to do it for Jurassic Park, and then they got rid of it, and they were like, no, let's just do, like, CGI for this. But the practicality behind something like that really helps. Like, I don't know. I think it's more, it grounds. I know we look at it and we're like, it's fake. It's like, but we look at everything and we're going to say that because it is fake. So, I mean, I don't know. I think that
it works good with the practical stuff because with the computer generated stuff, it only takes like one fuck up to realize that the whole thing is wrong, and once you see like one thing that looks like shit, the whole thing comes like crumbling down. But it's really hard for you to have like a physical prop that looks fake unless it's like a completely non-existent real world item or something like that.
Oh, even if it's good CGI, the fact that you could just identify it and be like, oh, that's good CGI, that means it's not really doing its job well. That it's not convincing you that it's there, that you're like, oh yeah, that's some pretty good CGI, like, oh, that's not going to hold up in like 5 or 10 years.
Yeah, I don't know. There's just something about having a more tangible aspect, and I love the prosthetics in the Tim Burton one. Like the makeup for that is incredible, and I love it way more than seeing all these apes CGI now. I really do. I don't care how real they look. I prefer seeing that sort of thing, because you're right. It adds another level of tangibility.
Oh, the detail in the fur, man. You could see every.
Well, it's like the biggest problem with that is watching like any of the CGI creatures interact with the real people there. It just looks so wrong. It's like, did you guys see Infinity War?
Yeah.
Thanos was entirely CGI'd. Like the whole thing, he was entirely CGI'd, and it looked good, but it also never looked like he was actually there.
Yeah.
And that's like the problem with all the apes in the new one, is it's just like, they don't look like they belong in there.
Except for the orangutan.
They look better than the real world. Like, they look like... It's kind of like Song of the South, but in reverse. Where it's like, this guy obviously doesn't belong in this cartoon world, but like... It's supposed to be like that, so it's okay. It's like visually okay because that's the way it's supposed to be, but like these apes are supposed to exist in the same world as these other people, but they look like cartoons.
Yeah, I don't know. I could believe someone reacting to a Muppet than Captain America reacting to Thanos.
Just because the Muppet has emotion and has drive.
It waves its arms around. You're like, oh.
The Muppet doesn't have weak motivations, dude. The Muppet's goal is to always be the most absurd thing in the room, and that's a great goal to have, in my opinion. I think it's realistic.
You are the Muppet.
Am I a Muppet? I don't know. Sometimes I wonder. I love that Muppet of a Man song from that newer Muppet movie. I don't know anything about it aside from that song.
I haven't seen any of the new Muppet movies, so I wouldn't.
I haven't either. No, it was like a song my friend was singing. He's like, "You gotta see this," and he showed me the video for it, and it's like it's like Jason whatever the fuck his name is. Siegel. Sure. I don't know what his name is. Yeah. But it's him with this orange Muppet, and they're singing this, "Am I a man or am I a Muppet?" And it's like this like weird existential thing about am I a Muppet?
There are these really in the like the Muppet like TV series and stuff like that from the 90s. There are a lot of weird like fucked up songs that are like really sad, and it's like a children's show. It's super weird. It's like there's like all these songs about these. Like, there was literally, like, this song, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was, like, this song about this Muppet having dreams and, like, growing up and realizing that his, like, dreams and aspirations couldn't come to fruition or something, and I'm like... And it's, like, all, like, really quiet, like, slow piano, and it's, like, raining outside, and he's singing it to this girl, who's, like, a real human girl, and the girl's, like, starts crying partway through it.
Damn.
I'm like, this is some shit.
That is some shit. See, but that's what I love about the Muppets, man.
It's a variety show.
They give you a spectrum. Yeah, it's a variety show. You'd be crying 1 minute, and the next minute you're like, that's crazy.
It's kind of like Beneath the Planet of the Apes. It's like
it's a lot like that.
Crying one
minute you're enthralled, and the next minute you're like, all right, this is getting too out of hand for me. I need to take a break.
Yeah,
this movie needs more Muppets.
It really does. I think most movies need more Muppets.
Just throw a Muppet in there.
Just throw a Muppet in every movie.
I feel like the past couple attempts at Star Wars would have gone over a lot better if there were more Muppets in it.
No, they put Yoda in the new one. They had Yoda, the puppet Yoda in it, didn't they?
Yeah, but it wasn't like as good.
Right? Yeah, he was like
but he wasn't like he wasn't a Muppet. He was Yoda.
Better than CGI Yoda for me, at least.
I don't know.
I think
the first when he went up on the screen for the first time, and I see that shot of his toes looking like that long, just like sticking out of the log, I'm like, there's no way. Like, who did this?
Yeah, it didn't look very good from what I saw, and it didn't make any sense at all. Like, just... We talk about Last Jedi another time because my God, do I have a lot to say about that movie? It was trash, dude.
All I gotta say is when I went to see that, I was with 2 other friends. There were 4 people in the theater when we went to go see it, so there was the 3 of us and 1 other person, and the other person was like right next to us for some reason. And when Yoda appeared on the screen, all 4 of us in unison just went, like, all at the same time, unwarranted, and I was like, that's what this movie's doing to me.
Yeah.
It's just like, I'm just trying to entertain myself at this point.
I like most movies, and I enjoyed that. I don't know. I'm an easy audience member.
Yeah, well, and maybe if you were more like the Alpha and the Omega rocket, maybe you wouldn't be such a fucking...
You need to live in a binary. It's either good or it's trash.
Yeah. Yeah, you've got to do that. That's the way I look at life.
It's
man.
either
the best thing you've ever seen, or it shouldn't exist.
Pure trash.
It's either Spy Kids Mission Critical or it's, well, I don't know.
And remember when we did that episode of Spy Kids Mission Critical?
That felt like so long ago.
That was
a week ago.
That was like
last
2 weeks ago. Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah. No,
I never thought I'd see my dad again after that.
I think that's probably proof that I'm an easy
It's
audience
almost like
member.
I never left.
That I was able to sit through 10 episodes of that show. Like it. Anyone else my age would have been like, there's nothing, I'm getting nothing out of this, let me stop.
Oh, you have no idea, dude. Me and my friends, me and a couple guys sat down one day and opened up the old Netflix machine and watched an hour and a half long CGI dinosaur movie called The Dino King. It was a South Korean CGI dinosaur movie that was literally just The Lion King but with dinosaurs.
Which is just Hamlet with dinosaurs.
Hamlet with dinosaurs, and it was an adventure. It's crazy.
I'd watch that.
There's a dinosaur. There's like a T-Rex that does a dive bomb off of a cliff.
I wouldn't watch that.
And goes teeth first into the neck of another dinosaur.
Oh, actually,
he's back.
It's fun.
I'd watch that.
He's back.
There's a lot of death in that movie.
I'd watch.
It's crazy.
That's pretty tight.
It's wild.
Is there a Dino King 1.5?
Who's Timon and who's Pumbaa?
Yeah.
Oh,
T-Rex Pumbaa.
I can't even remember, dude. There's like, I think they leave characters out of it, actually. Like, there aren't, like, the same kind of... It's obviously the same plot, but it's like...
Does anyone get, like, an arc or anything?
Like, there's the main character, who I can't remember what his name is, but he's, like, some speckled something, I don't fucking know. But he's, like, this baby T-Rex, and his entire family gets necked by this horde of dinosaurs, led by this big dinosaur that's got a scar on his eye. Like Mufasa, and then he grows up and goes to take him out, and he has like children and stuff before. There's a whole lot of stuff that happens. It's crazy.
Is there any songs in this?
There are not. I really wish there were. Actually, I don't remember if there were or not. I want to say no because the movie was really shit, and I don't think they would have put in the effort for that.
Do you think this movie needed more music, more songs? It had that one crazy ass choir thing at the end where all the weird, like, veiny people were, like, listening and praying, like, at church.
It started popping off at one point. Like, they only did it one time, but I was ready for them to come back to it. They didn't, though, and I was disappointed.
Why do they have the masks? Like, they all know.
So that they could do the reveal where they take the masks off.
Like they're just waiting for guests.
I don't think I think that's the only reason. I can't imagine any reason they have it.
Well, maybe it's like with us, you know how the idea is you wear clothes because you're ashamed of being naked. So maybe it's the same sort of thing where it's like naturally humans aren't meant to have an exposed fleshy face. So maybe like clothes you have like...
I've never been in a church and then started undressing and just been like, we're all in this together, guys. And then...
You go to the wrong church.
And then Brent's on the side and just like, what? Naked people?
You expect Brent to be in every church you go to, looking at you like, what?
To every single
what are you doing?
mass.
Yeah.
Brent has that Mark Wahlberg approach to responding to things, though.
Interesting.
It's insane. Like, every time it cuts back to him, his eyes get wider, and he's like...
Yeah.
He's, like, shaking his head back and forth, and he gets super dramatic, and he never ceases to be impressed by things, even when what he's seeing isn't that impressive.
It doesn't, like, go over him. It's just, like, instantaneous. I get everything right now, and I'm shocked by what's happening.
Yeah,
it's not like let me.
It's like that. It's like if you've ever seen that GIF of Vince McMahon watching WWE, and it's just like every time it cuts back to him, he's more and more excited until he falls back on his chair. That's like every time it cuts to Brent in this movie.
Brent. And the girl's just like staring. They cut closer up to her every single time. He's like, Brent. She doesn't get it. He's like, oh man, he beats her. Brent. Yeah.
Those scenes were so much longer than they had to be. It was
the whole movie was it was only an hour and a half long movie. That's the craziest
it's weird
because
like there needed to be more underground stuff in order to like make the movie make any sense. But the underground parts were like the most boring part of the entire movie when he's just like sitting there getting like cooked by all the psychics.
Yeah. I mean, yes, and I don't know. I don't know if I'd say it's the most boring because it is different. So I think naturally it is more interesting. But you're right. They don't handle it like that weird.
Well, it's because all the scenes go on for too long.
Yeah, they just go on. Yeah,
you're sitting there and you're just like, he's still doing that. Like it's like found footage where the entire movie is just like, it's like, all right, since it's a found footage style movie, you get to see everything that we would normally cut out, but they don't cut anything out. It's just like they cut every time he's done talking, they cut back to the psychics just staring at him for 5 seconds before they respond. It's like they were trying to make a runtime that they weren't able to reach or something like that, so they had to create filler.
I agree. I think this one,
that's where all the shots that last too long came from, where they just like cut to a shot of like a group of apes just standing there with their mouths like just like hanging open, and they're all just staring at the camera waiting for what to do next.
Yeah, it seems like a rushed. It seems like the production on this was rushed, and they didn't have enough money, so they were making a lot of quick sacrifices, and you could tell. You can really feel that. And
all that being said, I really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was fucking ridiculous, and I thought it was great. But you know, that's Planet of the Apes, I guess. So it's like not really. I don't expect it to be like some masterpiece.
No, it never was, and I think it knows that. I think they always knew what this was, except for that first one, the first movie. No, but I think everything after that, they had a pretty good idea of just how silly it was gonna get.
Yeah, so let's rank this, I guess.
You want to rank it?
Yeah, sure. From what you have seen of this franchise, where would you put Beneath the Planet of the Apes?
I love what is it? Which one is it? Not Conquest. What's the one before that? I always forget.
Escape?
Is this? Yeah, it's Escape. I think the first Planet of the Apes and Escape are my favorites, just because I think Escape is just such a different movie from the other ones. Even though I don't remember it, I do know it was drastically different and was a little bit stranger, and it had more of the futuristic elements that I was expecting from the movies, you know, like, if that makes any sense. And then, I don't know, I'd probably put this one third. This would probably come third. The only reason it doesn't come second is just because I think it's a little bit more boring at times, and like you're saying, it holds on shots, and it's just like, oh my god. And it feels rushed. It feels way too rushed. So I'll put it third.
I haven't seen that many of them, but I've seen the first one, and then this one, and then the first two of the new trilogy, and that's it. I would probably say this one's third in that group, but like being like the first movie, and then the first one of the new trilogy, and then this one, and then the second one of the new one. But that's only the ones I've seen. The only reason I see the second one of the new one is because it's like being last is because where this movie is like silly, but it embraces the silliness. That movie's silly and they play it completely straight, and it's not really that fun to watch when they're trying so hard to make it a serious movie, but it's Planet of the Apes, so they can't do it.
That's a good point. I mean, you got to know how to balance something like this, and these older movies definitely had a better sense of the balance than the newer ones, because everything now is trying to be more darker and grittier and mature, so to speak, and as a result, it loses the ability to kind of mess around with the sillier, the more, like, I don't know, it doesn't show all the shades that this could be. Instead, it only shows, like, the dark, grim, serious nonsense or whatever, but...
Yeah, I pretty much the same thoughts. First one is definitely the best by far in the franchise, even comparing to the new trilogy, which I think the main consensus is that everyone loves the new trilogy now.
Is it? I don't know.
I think a lot of people are more. I don't know. I have this idea that just people now don't care about older movies, and they're just like, what's new? I like that.
I think people just like it because it looks like even though we kind of like say that the visual effects make it seem fake, it still looks really good.
It
like,
does.
It's
the movement.
It's a very well made movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's not really what I want from a Planet of the Apes movie. I like the campiness. I like the actual like conversations between characters. I think that's one of the more fascinating parts of the first one is characters discussing social issues and stuff.
Yeah.
And you don't get that from the new one. You just get like very basic ideas told basically because the characters, except for the human characters, don't communicate that much. So yeah, I'm going to go original. I might go, this is my second favorite. When I first saw this last year, I think that was the first time I saw this, I thought it was a genuinely good movie, well made and all, and then seeing it tonight, not so much, but it doesn't take away any of my enjoyment of it. It might actually add on to it in this ridiculous, just, wow, this is some crazy editing, just flashes of stuff, and a flash of Charlton Heston here and there.
Oh, it made me sick.
And then, so that escape, and then Conquest, and then probably
my dreams tonight.
War, Dawn, Rise, and then then Battle.
Battle's dead last, dude. Battle's like the worst.
And then Tim Burton remake at the bottom, maybe. I don't know. I still like it, but it's
not a terrible movie. It's just extremely lukewarm and has a horrible ending.
Yeah, I don't dislike any of these movies, so it's through and through. I enjoy all.
Let the record show I don't dislike Apes.
Yes,
I'm a huge fan
don't
of Apes.
Kill me, in case these are some sort of prophecy.
Apes are dumb.
All right,
okay,
careful now.
Okay, Eric,
you're gonna be careful there, Dad. You're gonna say the wrong thing to the wrong.
I gotta say, wait, what is this podcast called?
Franchise Mutiny.
Okay, so I just want to say the Franchise Mutiny podcast does not endorse apes.
Yeah, this is an anti-ape podcast. We should have mentioned that like right out the gate. But
in case any apes are listening,
if there are any apes listening, now's a good time to stop listening. I know it's like the end of the podcast, basically.
So sorry you had to find out this way.
But you got to stop listening, man. You shouldn't be listening to this. You're not welcome here. Apes.
Those flashes of Charlton Heston. That's gonna be how I like wake up tomorrow morning. It's gonna be like having my dream. It's gonna be nice and regular. Whatever. I don't know what I dream about usually because I can't remember them. But like, I'm just gonna be chilling, and it's gonna be like a low drone that's gonna get slightly higher and higher pitch, and then it's gonna get really loud, and be like, "What the fuck is this?" And then it's gonna be a flash of Charlton Heston. And then I'm gonna wake up, and I'm gonna be like, "What?" And then I'm gonna want to go back to sleep because it's gonna be exhausting.
Yeah, that does sound like a lot of work for the brain. I don't know if I'd want to partake in that.
No, but I know it's going to happen because that's what movies do to you.
Whoa. Really?
Mm-hmm.
Don't tell me that.
I'm going to tell you
that. All right, well, I'm uncomfortable now.
That's all right.
Okay, so next week.
Next week is
a short one.
Next week is a 2.5 hour explanation. We're going to be diving into the political undertones of the Too Many Cooks Adult Swim special.
I love that special. That is one of the funniest things. It's so fucking funny. Not as funny as Beneath the Planet of the Apes, but still pretty funny.
So, next week. I'm trying to figure out a way to retcon this. I think we're pretty close to episode 8. So episode 7 of Franchise Mutiny was our big time travel episode, and we didn't really think about the ramifications that would have time traveling. And as a result, we've somehow managed to create parallel universes. And I'm saying all this because I'm very busy this next week. I'm not going to be able to record episode 10, but Isaac from Alternate Universe, he hooked me up with an episode from his timeline, his episode 10. And so if it seems like in that episode 10, they're referencing an episode that doesn't exist, that's because it's part of an alternate timeline due to time travel, not because I goofed up the audio real bad.
Of course.
Now,
I'm confused. So you're telling me the Mandela effect is alive and well in my life right now? Are you telling me we're on some sort of convergence or some sort of...
Are we in the Berenstain universe or...
I don't know. I don't know time. I just travel in it, and
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That's beautiful. It's poetic. I'm Emerson. Thanks for.
And Michael's dad.
Michael's dad.
And I'm Brent. I thought of something. Oh yeah. So next week, alternate timeline, Airplane 2.
Oh, you're using. I see what you're doing. Okay,
so
I see what you're doing
episode
now.
10, Airplane 2, alternate timeline. What could we expect from that episode?
Well, my dad isn't in it, first and foremost, which is great to some extent.
Which we don't know.
That's disappointing.
I don't know if he's alive and well in the alternate timeline. I hope he is.
I hope he's not, because he's a horrible father.
At least it's not Airplane 1. I might have to... No, I'm not going to finish that.
What are you, a fan of Airplane 2 and not 1?
No, both of them are fantastic, but Airplane 1's like my all-time favorite comedy, so I'd be super fucking disappointed if it was Airplane 1.
Airplane 1's tight, dude. We reviewed Airplane 2, and I
don't know what you're saying.
Airplane 2.
Am I in the alternate universe?
You are, yeah.
Airplane 2. Is it as good as Airplane 1? Is it even, like, close, though?
Absolutely not. Do you think so? I mean,
I think it's like moderately close to being... I think people give it way more shit than it's worth.
Really?
I think it's not like... I think people give it so much shit because it's not the original concept.
No, I think it's too much like the original concept. I think it's played out.
No, I mean it's the original concept, but it's the original concept just done again, and they do it, and they're like, well, it was a shock when it was Airplane 1 because people were like, why the fuck are the people on the PA system arguing with each other or whatever, and then they just like did it again. Like I see that as being a disappointment, but it's like I have the same opinion of Airplane 2 and 1 as I do with like a lot of ongoing TV shows that people say got shittier as time went on, where I'm just like, it never changed. It's like the same shit over and over again, which like you can get disappointed by it being the same thing, but I feel like it's not that much different than it was.
Shit, well, we don't talk about that at all. I spend most of the episode shitting on Airplane 2.
Thank you, Eric, and thank you, Michael, and thank you, Emma. Emma. And thank you, Michael, for giving me more things to edit.
Emma, dude. Well, Emma, fucking. Right.
Anything you want to add on?
Emma. You got anything to add over there, Emma? Emma.
Can take that as a no. Okay, well, Emma,
how many apes would you give? Beneath the Planet of the Ape out of 10.
4.
Gets 4 Planets of the Apes out of 10.
Okay,
beautiful.
Now we could end it. Yeah. it's over now.